Hello, Yawning Angel here again, another video, and this time I'm going to be doing something slightly different. Going to be taking a look at word processing on the Amiga, especially in the guise of Final Writer. Final Writer by Softwood. This was a word processing package I had back in the day, and recently a boxed version of this appeared on a famous auction site and I just had to buy it. So this is the big box with the manual and the discs and some other bits in there as well. My intention is to install this from floppy disk onto my Amiga A1200 and see how that pans out. But first of all, let's take a look inside the box. So in this package we get, of course, the Final Writer big box, and that is a properly big box. Really nice that, and it's in really good condition too. We also get a rather chunky manual, and this looks pretty much in mint condition. Really nice that, so I'm looking forward to having a good old read through that. There is also a Final Writer Release 3 addendum, obviously for the Release 3 upgrade, which is also in the box as well. This is a very complete package. And of course we get some discs. Disc 2, Disc 3, Disc 4, Disc 5, Disc 6, Disc 7, Disc 8 and Disc 9. But where is Disc 1? Well, here it comes, because we've got a choice of Disc 1s. We've got Disc 1 Release 2, Disc 1 Release 3 and Disc 1 Release 4. There's also some extra bits in the box as well. We've got proof that the registration was completed and sent back. We've also got Final Writer Release 2 addendum to the user manual. And we've got notes on how to install Final Writer 4. Some extra instructions there on how to do the upgrade, and this also goes some way to explain why we've got a Disc 8 and a Disc 9. So when I get any new software title and I'm going to install it from floppy, it comes on floppy disks, I go through and I physically check the surface of the disks, making sure there's no crud on there, there's no damage. So I've got one of these little contraptions which enables me to hold open the slider mechanism on a disk and then just manually rotate the disk so I can see what's going on in there. I check both sides of the disk. Of course, if I were to come across anything foreign on there, I would use some IPA and a cotton bud. This is how it all works. That just clamps on there quite nicely, and you put this little disc thing on that the rotation part of the disc, and it enables you then to turn the disc. I got this from RMC's store, so this is not an advert. I'm just saying this is where I got mine. There are other products out there which will do a similar thing. I will say this process can be a little bit fiddly, especially when you're checking a lot of discs. But when you think it's probably easier to go through and check disks for damage and dirt, etc., rather than put a dirty disk in a floppy drive and have that disk damage the drive. What are you going to do with a damaged drive in this day and age? They're more and more difficult to repair and to source. So just take the extra time, go through and check the disks in this way. And if you've got a damaged disk, I kind of thought to myself, if any of these disks are damaged and I can't do this process, well, then I'll need to think again about how I'm going to do this. But thankfully, all the disks checked out clean and they were fine, and I was happy to use them and put them in my floppy drive in order to install this software. Right, first things first, mouthful of tea. That's good. Right, so as you will probably remember from when I went through the discs, I've got multiple Disc 1s. I've got Disc 1 Release 2, Disc 1 Release 3, and a Disc 1 Release 4. But I thought what I'll do, I'm going to start with Release 2, because that's almost the earliest version I've got. So let's see what that does. So let's open up the disk. There should be a README on here. Yes, there is. Have a quick look at the README file, and the README file basically, to start HD install, double click the mouse on the HD install icon. Well, let's do that, shall we? This and see where this goes. Let's see where this leads us. Right, here we go. So the disk is whirring. Okay, we'll do intermediate user. Actually, let's do expert user. Proceed with install, install for real, proceed. In which disk or drawer should the final writer be created? So let's look at show drives. Well, it's gone DH1. I do actually have a word processing folder. You'll notice I've already got a version of final writer in here, but I want to create this again from scratch really for this install. So let's, so it's going to go into word processing. That's fine. Hopefully that previous install, I think that's the light version that came with one of the Amiga magazines back in the day. So let's go proceed. Do we do a complete or minimal? Well, we want to do complete, don't we? There may not be enough room available. There should be. So let's hit yes. Right. Now it's just a case of waiting. Insert disk 2. So disk 2. Oh, 29% done. Insert disk 3. Oh, thesaurus. Brilliant. 43% done. And now we want disk 4. Oh, 57% done, and now we need disk 5. So I think we've only got 5, 6 and 7 to do, because 8 and 9, disks 8 and 9 were for release 4, if that piece of paper that came in the disk box is to be believed. So fingers crossed. More EPS clip art. There's a lot of EPS clip art for this. But I do remember back in the day doing, I suppose, very early DTP with Final Writer before I kind of moved over to Page Setter. Yes, to Page Setter. But there wasn't much in it. I think Final Writer had the edge over Page Setter in some aspects. Although it's my memory, it may be a little bit foggy. Who knows? 71% done, and we need disk 6. Disk 6, always best to double check the disks before you put them in, Yawning Angel. That's why I stacked them up nicely over here, just to make the process a bit smoother. 86% done, and now we need disk 7. Will this be the last one for release 2 of the software? Who knows? Here we go. HD install 100% done, installation complete, Final Writer can be found in Final Writer B folder or your partition. Wow. Wow. Okay, let's eject that disk. And let's see if that's worked. Right, so that told us it was in my work partition, word processing. There it is, look, final writer B. So let's dive in here and take a look. So we've got final writer, fonts, thesaurus, clip art, docs, files, macros. Wow, let's give it a run and see what happens. Screen type, so let's do use workbench. Okay, see what we get. Well, look at that. Now, the resolution on my screen, I've got this set just to normal high res because the OSSC won't capture the double PAL mode that I have this in. But this has actually loaded it and is running. Test text for final writer. Looking good. Interesting. Okay. So I'm going to need to get the manual out and go through a lot of these icons here and see what they'll do just to refresh my memory. But you know, we've got a lot of features here. So this seems to be running. So this is good news. It runs. Let me just quit out of here. Don't want to save changes, quit program. So if we run it, and what I want to do is run it as open new screen. I think we can go up a number of colors. So let's go 64 colors and let's see what happens here. That's more like it. That looks a bit less rubbish, doesn't it? Test text on a page. And now what you're seeing is one of the problems with Final Writer on a modern display. It's a little bit pixelated, a little bit not as good as it could be. So on a CRT, this would look fantastic. But the menus are looking clear. It's just the text on the actual page. We've got a lot of features on here. Actually, when we go into text, let's go into fonts. So here's all our fonts have loaded. And you know, that's not bad. So we got deco fonts. Oh, wow, look at this. So much stuff on here. Let's check out, I'm intrigued. What's the Lucifer font going to look like? Tiny, unreadable rubbish. Okay, I clearly need to play around with this. And I think that's probably going to be the next step. After another cup of tea, of course. So before I dive in and get to grips with Final Writer a bit more, I'm very, very tempted to upgrade to version 3. And if that goes okay, dive straight in to upgrade to version 4, because then we'll have the all singing, all dancing version of Final Writer. And that kind of appeals to me because then we'll be using the package at its maximum potential. So yeah, I'm going to grab another cup of tea. I'm going to dive in and do that. Okay, back for the release 3 upgrade. Quick mouthful of tea. Lovely. Now, quick chair adjust. Now I've had a look in the Final Writer Release 3 addendum, and there's nothing in here about how to do the install. It just gives us all the new stuff that's on there. So, unlike with the how to install Final Writer version 4, there's actually a full list there on what to do. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to wing this. So I'm going to put in the Disk 1 Release 3 and see what happens. So let's take out that disk. So that was disk 7. And let's see what happens when I put this in. Let me just move that folder out of the way. Clear some space here. So if I double click on this, let's see what's going to happen. Right, so this just looks like a straight install, not, yeah, okay. So I might give that a miss then, because there's no instructions for this. So it'd be interesting to see what happens if I do the version 4 one. So I'm going to eject that. And And let's try release 4 disk 1 install. So I'm going to use the instructions for disk 4. So how to install Final Writer 4 upgrade. Switch on your computer, insert the disk name disk 1 install, double click on the disk 1 icon on the workbench screen, double click the HD install icon. Okay. I'm hoping you can go from version 2 straight to version 4. If not, we're going to be in a world of pain. So click on the Proceed with Install button. I'm still going to do Expert User. Okay. Proceed with Install. Click the Proceed button. Select the directory that the Final Writer _B drawer is currently in. Select the directory. Okay, so let me go to Show Drives, Work. Come down here. Word processing. So select the directory that the Final Writer _B drawer is currently in. Do not select the Final Writer B drawer itself. Okay. The line drw Final Writer B should show in the file list. Yes, it does. That's fine. If your Final Writer B drawer is not the default directory, blah blah blah. Now click the Proceed button. Okay. Oh, right. So click the Proceed button. The correct parts to update are automatically selected. Oh, okay. That looks interesting. Okay, fine. So let's proceed with that and see what happens. That's very interesting. Okay. Here's hoping this doesn't break it. But if not, if it does all go horribly wrong, we can do the install again because we know that, everything works. We know the previous disks ran okay and installed fine, so we hopefully will be okay. It also goes on to say on here, insert disk 8 and 9 when requested. So let's see what happens. Brilliant, 20% done. Please insert the disk labeled disk 8 in any drive. So let's do disk 8. Oh, big chunky icon. Interesting. Please insert the disk labeled disk 9 in any drive. So it goes back in that pile. Disk 9. Another big chunky icon. A little bit concerned this is only saying 30% done when we're on potentially the last disk of the install. So whether this rapidly accelerates up to 100%, I don't know. A little bit nervous, I have to say, because I'd like for this to go right from the initial install, but we'll go where we're taken. The thing is, I'm kind of working on the principle that it didn't say on here that you have to have version 3 installed. There we go, installation complete. Installation complete, 100% done, proceed. Brilliant, okay, so let's see then. Let me take that disk out, pop that on there. So let's go, I'm actually going to close that folder. We'll go back in, word processing, Final Writer B. Let's see what happens when we open it up. Different screen layout, open new screen, PAL high res. We're going to go 64 colors. So let's see what happens. Look at that. Final Writer release 4.01. Yes, it's done it. It's done it. It works. And the fonts still look really shonky on here, but we'll have a play around with settings and stuff. But that's pretty incredible. Look at that. All our menus are there. this is looking good. Definitely quite happy with this. We need to understand what all the icons do. Standard word processing icons, but for the back in the day, they'll be slightly different. Yeah. So we've got some. Can we go into fonts here? Don't know. We're going to have a play around. But yeah, version 4 installed. I'll take that. Happy days. Right, so we've got Final Writer installed from floppy disk. It is 2023 and we've installed a major piece of serious software on the Amiga from floppy disk on an external floppy drive, and that is an achievement in my books. Really pleased with that. So coming up then in a future video, we're going to dive in and start exploring Final Writer in greater detail, see if we can, see what sort of documents we can create. Can we, I used to use it for a little bit of DTP back in the day. Can it be used for a little bit of DTP? Is it better than Page Setter? It's definitely going to be better than Page Setter 1, but will it be better than Page Setter 2? Who knows? These questions and more will be answered in a future video. So for now, I'd like to say thank you ever so much for watching this video. I do a number of retro videos, so feel free to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of this kind of thing. Of course, I do my AMOS programming tutorials as well. So yeah, like and subscribe. I'm on various social media platforms. There's probably something scrolling up the screen now to tell you more about that. I have a website. I'm also on Ko-fi. If you want to support my work, feel free to go there and do so. But for now, I'd just like to say thank you once again for watching this, and whatever you do, keep it retro.